This is day 251 of the Arukh HaShulchan OC. If you'd like to sponsor an upcoming shir or more of the Arukh HaShulchan OC, it'd be greatly appreciated. Today we are doing, please contact me directly. Today we're doing Arukh Chaim, Simon Kuf Ayin Gimel, see base till Kuf Ayin Dalet, see Vav. We're racking up those simonim there. Okay, so Kuf Ayin Gimel was the halachas we began yesterday of Mayim and Tzoyim, which are kind of archaic nowadays. If there's an obligation to wash hands, why didn't they make a bracha on this? This is like preparation for food, like when you devein and defat forbidden fats of an animal, where you salt it. It's not considered to be a mitzvah in and of itself. It's considered to be something which you're preparing preparing your meal. According to this, it has nothing to do with Hilchos Suda, because even though we're talking about what you do in a meal, it's about a meal, a unique kind of meal where you have milk and then meat, and therefore it's not relevant to Hilchos Suda. These privacy are there, so meant to be test. As long as you're there, Rambam doesn't mention this at all in Hilchos Brachos, which we are obviously not quite in the middle of it in Hilchos Suda, but Rambam has Hilchos Suda evidently in Hilchos Brachos. Also, Sorasi mentions it. Also doesn't write about Natila, which is a language associated with a mitzvah, but rather rinsing. According to this, the Beis Yosef says has to do with is correct according to both interpretations. That even though it is a chova between tavshil gvina, in other words, the cheese and the meat, but it's not really it's not something not something for a bracha, because it's a hechsher for the eating the next course. Kasvali also wrote the bein basar dagim chabelito, between meat after fish you have to wash, because we know that according to Chazal it causes leprosy and its danger is more severe than prohibition. That's why there's a little bit of evidence in Psachim. Ram Lois Kirzen, Ram does not mention this because when they say, Ram says, nature has changed. We no longer have this assumption that meat and fish together cause cancer, or it's whatever the bracher, leprosy. So Tosis writes that also this no longer really applies. We don't eat fish after meat, rak basar dagim. I don't know why, but evidently in Navardic they only ate fish after meat, but not meat. Meat after fish, but not fish after meat. I guess that's something to do with the ancient minhag on account of tzaras. But here are places where they do eat meat and then fish. Okay, Mishnah Berurah writes in that with Ramah that our minhag is to wash hands between meat and fish, but our minhag is to eat something between them and to drink something between them, which is kinuach and hadacha, and that is our minhag today. When we treat basar b'dagim as not sakana anymore, but as a minhag Yisrael, which is a din iser, not a din sakana. Gimel v'kasar b'nei b'zeh gimel kol dvarim anagim achronim nogim emtsoim. All the halachas which apply to Mayim achronim apply to Mayim emtsoim. Ben lakel ben lachmir, whether it's for leniency or for severity. Chutz mi hesed chadas, except for distraction. Supposed to be emtsoim, which renders the Mayim emtsoim puzzle. Because he still wants to eat, and therefore his hands would have to be safe kept. The post at the end. And besides for wiping the hands, in the middle, water requires wiping like drying like the first waters. Some people say that Mayim Tzoim requires specifically water. So and that's because other liquids do not clean the fat and the other food which clings to the hands. Argues this name Mishumi Susa, but in any event, the drying off is required because otherwise the hands will be repugnant. Of course, Arukh HaShulchan says, based on our understanding, there's a unique kind of meal where you have first milk and then meat. What does that have to do with Hesed Chadas? And if it's an issue with Hesed Chadas from Mayim Rishonim somehow, and somehow you got distracted from that, was there with the word in the middle, the Tzorich Iyun, and this remains unclear. Kuf Ayin Dalid. Din Birchas Yaim Suda, the laws of making a bracha on wine in the meal. Even though beverages they drink within a meal, you don't have to make bracha upon them. As shall be explained, nevertheless, ala yayin tzorich leberach, on wine you have to make a bracha. Till yayin sheshosim misacha suda, even with the wine you drink in the middle of the meal, shulishros hamachal, which is to settle the food in the stomach. It's like things which come on account of the meal, which we should expect the bracha moti to exempt. Nevertheless, you have to make a bar priagafen. Tam Amru Chazal bebrachas, and Chazal explain why in brachas shani yain, wine is different. Shegorim bracha latzmo. It is significant enough that it has a bracha on its own. Shemakam comes in bar varchim love. As we know, in several places we make a bracha on wine. Even though we don't have to drink it. That wine has a bracha in these ceremonies, despite the fact that it's actually a ceremonial bracha and not a bracha sanenin. You can ask him, that's the case, have to make this, why do not have to make the separate bracha achrona on wine as well? The lodami, it's not similar. The Birchas HaMazon Poter Afil Dvarim Shem Ein B'Hem Machmas Azuda. Birchas HaMazon works for even things which don't come in account of the meal, such as desserts, such as sherbets and other things which you might eat in the middle of the meal, which are not because of the integral part of the meal itself. Masha'echen Bracha Rishona, as opposed to the first Bracha Motzi, which does not work for things which are distractions to the meal. Time nearly, Arukh HaShulchan surmises that the reason is Mishnah Birchas HaMazon with the Raisa, because Mazon is the Raisa, and therefore it catches more. Furthermore, the Chashivas to the Bracha Rishona, besides that the Chashivas of wine is in that it has a first Bracha, which is unique in its application. The Bracha Achrona is no different. Any other Bracha Achrona that comes because you drank, and where, since we make Birchas HaMazon, it covers that Bracha Achrona, which is not the unique quality of wine. The brackets, he says here that this seems to be his intent. The Ramban meaning says the Graz has difficulty with this, and that's not what else he says. Not relevant to us right now. Base. Oh, the Chashivas land is another significance of wine. The Kashem shepas poitek komine machal shebesuda, just like bread exempts all sorts of food in the meal. So too the bracha on wine exempts all sorts of beverages. Feel me bracha rishon exempts even from a bracha rishona. If I feel shal b'shas suda, and even just not during a meal. The b'shas suda ain't tzarich because during the meal you don't need the wine to exempt the other beverages. That paspotron, bread exempts all other beverages besides for wine. Just like bread has the superior advantage in that it is nourishing. Nourishing and satisfying. Wine also has this advantage that it causes joy. You see, like it says, wine causes the heart of man to rejoice. And bread gives the heart of man nourishment and satisfaction. Shun says that specifically when they are making a mishteh. They're making a drinking party or a drinking gathering. Just like with bread, it's a kviyus. And we know by wine is also such thing as a kviyus. As will come up much later. Some say the some say a variation of the theme that's only when the other beverages are in front of you. But if they're not in front of you, they don't exempt. The wine doesn't exempt the other beverages. Some say that feel loyal in front of, even they weren't in front of you. But you have them in mind. Poter, it exempts them, and that is from the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Arukh Harav, but Kshiyasha B'Kviyas L'Shtos Yain. When you sat down liberally to drink wine. I saw those who said, even if you don't set yourself up in a formal way to drink the wine, but you drink a little bit of wine for the purpose of mitzvah, kol kiddush v'abdolah, and you drink lots of beverages afterwards. According to the Shulchan Aruch, they are exempt, in fact, with the birchas hayayin upon them. So according to that, which says kshiyashav kriyas lishtos hayayin before, that's the dogam mevava. It's not the graz, not baltani. He says you don't need a kriyas because even kiddush and avdala work, which are not a kriyas to drink wine. So the Arukh HaShulchan argues, says Anios daiti near the enopot, near the below kriyas enopot. If it's not a formal setting of drinking, it doesn't exempt the other beverages. Gemara medam below the pas. Gemara draws an analogy to the bread. What pas is kriyas, and by definition, pas is formal. And on kiddush and avdala mikra kriyas, but it says on the other hand, kiddush and avdala can be called a formal setting. Kiddush v'arei habikriyas. Kiddush is only a kriyas thing. Kiddush el makam suda. Kiddush is intrinsically linked to the meal. But if you have avdala mikra ganken kriyas, mashkas v'teises brachos. So even avdala is called a formal setting of drinking. That's teises brachos. Generally ikar ledina. So he does agree with the Graz about kiddush and havdalah wine. Mishnah Berurah says that if you were not koveya to drink, if you didn't make, it's not a formal drinking occasion, then the beverages have to be on the table. That's his kind of compromise. Some people are lenient, even when he had in mind, even if they weren't on the table. But in any event, this is only when you drank a malo lugmav, cheekful, which is of the wine, which is a shir chashiv. If you didn't drink a malo lugmav of the wine, then you should ask someone else who didn't taste of the wine cup to that he should exempt him with a bracha on the other beverages, or you can make a bracha a little bit of sugar to exempt the other beverages. Because some say that even a mashu of wine, a small amount of wine, is sufficient to exempt other beverages. And obviously there's an opinion which argues. If you made the wine a formal occasion, then the flip side of that compromise, it exempts beverages even that weren't on the table at the time of the bracha. If they came, as long as they came in front of it, as long as the bottle of wine is still on the table, or that you had das on those mashkin beforehand. So it sounds complex, but it's not really. It has to be, Mr. Berurah is asking for one of the parameters at least to exist. It should be a formal occasion, the wine should be on the table, it should be a kriyas, and you should have in mind, any of these will work to exempt the other beverage. But the issue of lo lugav is a serious issue, because many people at Kiddush, the Baal Bayis, will drink them a lugav, but not anybody else. So therefore, they have a shiloh about the beverages. Now, of course, if it's Kiddush, so they're probably not going to drink anything until after Motzi anyway. It will have to be a case like Havdalah, where they want to drink something on the basis of Bracha Havdalah, they can't do so. The Arukh HaShulchan finishes with the brackets here. He says, Motzasi came Mordechai Perkez, Baruch Mayin Shem, came Moshe Barzor Godol, etc. Gimel V'dash Lo Motzasi B'Rambam V'Tur Din Zeh D'Yayin Potekol Mashkim. We didn't find in the Rambam L'Tur this halacha, the wine exempts other beverages. V'Lo Yidati Lama, I don't know why not. Farei Gemara and Fresh, D'Ibin Brachos. It's explicit Gemara and Brachos B'Chulin. Rak Rabbeinu Beis Yosef Chassav Din Zeh B'Si Beis, Beis Yosef writes it. V'Kam Rosh Pasach came B'Perek Vav. V'Chein Tamid Rabbeinu Yonah Pasku Sham Kein. So why not in the Rambam? So he wants to say according to the sugi of our shas, the halacha is not that way. That's what it says there. Itmar, we learned they brought in front of them figs and grapes to talk within the meal. Ravuna says make a bracha before them. This pas poteres v'chulei. V'yayin poter. This Arzir says bread and wine exempt. But we hold like Ravuna that we do make a bracha on grapes and figs which come in the middle of the meal. If we hold like Ravuna pushes off Rabbi Chia, also that which Rabbi Chia said, that you, not just Rabbi Chia said that the bread exempts the figs and grapes, but also that the wine exempts the other beverages. So that seems to be again like the Rambam's and the Torah's Hashmata. Ach, Rosh Vatamida Rabbeinu Kasvasham. Then he the past the Rabbi Chia. They distinguish. They say by bread Allah is not like Rabbi Chia. Avo biyayin halacha, but by wine halacha is like him. Ayin sham. From Rambam to Los Filu Kain, the Rambam to disagree with that. Then Mislovin das Rosh Tamida Rabbi Yonah, and Rabbi HaShulchan says, I really don't understand the Rosh Rabbeinu Yonah. They kamosh ena pas poteres tainim ba'anovim. They shem en min Yonah suda. Just like bread doesn't exempt figs and grapes because they're not intrinsic to the meal. Kamochin there so to pshita shishari mashkin ena min yain. Other beverages are not intrinsic to the wine. Let me throw some. So why should exempt them? Don't look kaimon Rabbi Chia but pass. According to us, all the like do not all Rabbi Chia, and we hold that bread does not exempt figs and grapes. So I have to say that they hold the YCHQ Shai Mashkin Yain. It's a nice svara, I think. You have more of an affinity between other beverages and wine than there is between between figs and grapes with bread. But the Rif also seems in whole like this, like Rav Chiz, like Rav Chia, Sharei Kasa, Pliga, the Rabbi Chia, the Ravun Aris, Rabbi Chia, Bisagadat, the Biyai, Pasakalocha, Kamoso. If Alacho should be Rabbi Chia in wine, so he should say explicitly that, yes, it's true, Ravun argues on Rabbi Chia on the bread and fig, on versus figs and grapes, they don't pass like him, but you do pass him by wine. The Kain Lama about it must be a pushes Rabbi Chia off from the halacha altogether. But according to the Markani, you're compelled to say this. You look at Lama Kasav Klau Hach Upli Rabbi Chia. Why do you write all Ravuna argues Rabbi Chia? The Antanim Anavim Haibitibi Ravuna, right? Because in terms of figs and dates, he does bring figs and grapes. He does bring down Ravuna. Vadai Bishu Yahi Kasav Kain. So it certainly wrote this. Since he wrote that halacha explicitly, this is writing that. Additionally, Allah is like Rabbi Chia, must because of wine he wrote that. And this also we don't like Rabbi Chia. Please, Sveka Dedina. This is a Suffolk Sveka Dedina with whether in fact wine should accept other mashkin or not. And we go lahakal. So Rabbanan, which in this case would be to say that the wine exempts the other beverages. But does cover halacha ayin sham benvav. Chem b'sakor zuragodo. Akrab saying by us is kasvu sham the gam meyayin leisachosok Rabbi Chia ayin sham. But Tosfos nevertheless does hold that halacha is not Rabbi Chia in wine, and we don't hold that wine exempts other beverages. Basically, it says in brackets, topic im gam hashomi brichas bari govern v'yotzi brichaso im gam bohem poter komini mashkim mibracha shalosh shasu mikosher bracha. Arukh HaShulchan asked, mentioned what we said before. Okay, even we pass because the subject is Rav Kula, but what about the people who heard al pri govern and didn't even drink? According to Mishnah Berurah, the problem even they didn't drink Malo Lugmav. But Arukh HaShulchan is saying, okay, and if they didn't, at least if they didn't drink at all, it should be a problem. It's not, and he has no specific answer to this. The Mishnah Berurah says that even if at the time that the Ba'abas made the bracha on the wine, they had wine. I'm sorry, even though there was the other beverages on the table at the time the Ba'abas made the bracha on wine, they still have to make a separate bracha on those beverages because they're not yotzei for the Indian of exemption through the Ba'abais. Dalit. If you're sitting a meal, you only have wine for one cup. Don't drink it in the meal. But leave it till after the meal. And you should make the bracha on the kos. After Birkas Hamazon, you should make it on the kos. And then drink it. Feel below kos even previously. So nevertheless, those who say that he was thirsty to drink it, then I guess he should drink it. That's my word there. Mishnah Berurah says only if you don't have other beverages. Says Arukh HaShulchan, but I know ain't noggin because of Birkas Hamazon we do not usually use a kos by Birchas Hamazon, even though it's according to Gemara we really should. So Kamana by Birchas Hamazon and doing a kos. We all like me that Birchas Hamazon does not require a cup. For Rabbeinu Amar Pasak Kaman Sobsim Kup Tzarek Zayin Minatork Shut Samin Lishtos Eino Chai Birchas Hamazon. Ayin Sham. He said Ramah holds that Midoraisa. If you're still thirsty, you should not bench. You're still kind of bench the Rabbanan, but Midoraisa only kind if you're satiated both with food and drink. So that's best for us to drink it at least before Birchas Hamazon. The Prima Godim, right? Sure, it's something the Prima Godim. They have 3 people there and they're going to make a mizuman. So perhaps even if he's thirsty, it's better to leave it after the Birchas Hamazon. But generally speaking, Bismana is that we rarely use a kos except with 10. So maybe with 10 we would have that halacha. Hey, Amru Chazal, the Yain Fnei Hamazon, Pot the Yain Shebetoch Hamazon. Chazal said that wine before the meal exempts to wine in the meal. Shachar Hamazon, and even the wine after the meal. Klamar Achar Shemosh Ridei Min Apas Lishtos Yain, Lecho Peros Kan Birchas Hamazon. Doesn't mean after benching in this case. It means after you stop eating bread, to drink wine and to eat fruit as a dessert. But saying like a din Achar Hamazon, by us there's no halacha and perhaps no chiddush din Achar Hamazon, because we have a dessert. We're not called removing ourselves from the bread until after we actually bench. Therefore, everything by us is called within the meal. But wine which is within the meal doesn't exempt wine which is after the meal. But time, the reason is the yain shalifnei hamazon shachar hamazon, both the wine before and after the meal, they come to drink, for drinking. But the wine within the meal comes for digestion. And to drink is more significant than to digest, or to soak, I guess is the literal translation. Therefore, that which you come to drink exempts that which comes to soak, not the opposite. That which is less significant does not exempt the significant. Of course, we don't have this concept of Achar Hamazon. Now, what you said, you have to make a bracha on the wine in a meal. That's why you didn't make a bracha on the wine before the meal. The Mishnah Berurah says that if you are thirsty because of what you ate, even if you wait a long time after the meal was over, as long as you have made Birchas Hamazon, it's still considered to be before your Yotze with the bracha which you made previously. Rashba also says that if you, it's Rashba means indicate, if you drink immediately after eating, it's also in order to digest as opposed to drink. In any event, all of this Bismana says is not really relevant because we're used to having dessert, so therefore any time till benching is still going to be part of the meal. That which they wrote that if you would covet to drink, you make a formal sitting to drink before you made hamotzi. You don't have to make a bracha during the meal. Lav dafka kava. It doesn't specifically have to be formal. Even if it's not formal. When they say kvius, they mean as long as he had in mind to drink during the meal. As opposed to if he didn't have in mind to drink during the meal. But afterwards he changed his mind to drink the wine. In that case, the wine before the meal does not exempt him. He didn't have in mind to drink it all. But you don't need it for a formal wine sitting. But only if you drank before the meal. But when you drank before the meal, it exempts not just what's in the meal, but also what's after the meal. The Bir Halacha says that, of course, if you do need a kvius beforehand, that well, not that exactly kvius. It has to be that the wine you drank before the meal was right next to it, juxtaposed to it, because otherwise, if it's too far back, it has nothing to do with the meal. also that the Balatanya Paskins, the place where people are accustomed to drink wine within the meal, we see by default that it's as if his intent was for that.